So one half of me is wearing a drugstore highlight and one half of me is wearing a high-end highlight. Can anyone tell which side is which? I've already forgotten. Okay, I think we're okay. I seem to have placed the highlight on the table in front of me in the order in which they appear on my face. So that's good. So this video will actually be quite helpful. Hello everyone! I'm here today to share with you guys some new dupes that I have been sort of testing out and playing around with. I've sort of gone through my entire collection and swatched so many highlights. I have way too many highlights, everyone. Actually, no, that's a lie. There's no such thing. But I kind of wanted to do my own digging and swatching and testing and playing and see if I could find any dupes within my collection that have sort of the high-end look and feel for the drugstore price. Now, personally, I think that both the highlights, the high-end and the drugstore, are both really, really good. Sometimes with the high-end one, you get a little bit of a richer tone in it, but they're both very similar once they're blended out on the cheekbones. But I hope you guys find this video helpful. If you do, give it a big thumbs up, and if you want to see more drugstore dupes, let me know what categories you want me to do next in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the first highlight I'm going to share with you guys is this beautiful one by Ofra. It is in the shade Blissful. I think it is such a stunning shade, very pigmented and looks beautiful on the skin. Like, look at that. And I found a pretty good dupe for this one. It is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder in Precious Petals. So I will swatch them side by side so you can actually see what they look like. So here they are swatched on the skin. You guys can see in the up close, they look very similar, especially when they're blended out on the skin. I find that there is no difference at all. Beyond just the color similarities, I find that the formulas are very similar. I would say that the Ofra one is probably a little bit more creamy, more crumbly, and definitely more pigmented with a little bit less product, but you do get the same effect. You just probably need 2 layers of this versus 1 layer of this. Next, I want to share with you guys 2 high-end highlights. These are both beautiful highlights, and they're a little bit different in terms of the color as well as actually the application, the form that they're in, but I found a dupe for both of them actually in one palette. So I want to share that with you guys today. So the first product I want to show you is by Estee Lauder. It is this stunning, whoa! Oh, I just put my fingers in it and just broke it. Ugh, get too excited about highlights, everyone. I'm just ruining everything. So as I was saying before, I totally ruined my highlight. Oh, I'm so bummed right now. This is the Estee Lauder Bronze Goddess Illuminating Powder Highlight in the shade Heat Wave. It's a beautiful golden shade. It's a little bit too dark for me if I don't have any self-tanner on, but other than that, great quality, gorgeous shade. This is what it looks like on the skin. Definitely more of a gold, warm undertone, but it's not too coppery, so I find it's still very wearable for myself. And the second high-end highlight I want to talk about is the Makeup Forever Starlit Powder in the shade number 13. It is definitely more on the sparkly side, I want to say, but you get such like a pow highlight on the skin. Here is the Makeup Forever one. You can see that here, much more of a light tone, something I can wear all the time. It's a little bit on the messy side because it is in a powder form, but again, beautiful shade. And I actually found dupes for both of these highlights in the BH Cosmetics Spotlight Highlight Palette. I have talked about this palette a ton. I think it is a great quality product. I love this highlight palette and I use it quite often. As you can tell, it is quite messy. If you have not tried this highlight palette yet, highly recommend it. It is really smooth, creamy, buttery, lots of color payoff, and just incredible shine to the skin. I think all of these shades are stunning, but the shades in particular that I find are dupes, number 1 is Dream, so this color right here. And we'll swatch that. So there is the color right there. It is a little bit lighter, like a hair if I'm gonna be picky, but again, when it is smoothed out on the skin, I don't notice any difference at all. Then the other shade that is a dupe for the Makeup Forever highlight is this one right here. It is in the shade Glow. So there it is compared to the Makeup Forever one. I find it is more pigmented, as you can see here, but blended out in the skin, they pretty much blend out to almost exact replicas for each other. The Makeup Forever one is maybe a little bit more glittery, but very similar in terms of tone. If you want something that's a whiter, brighter shade, if you have very pale skin, for example, that's a great one. I think all of these highlights are really good quality, but this has a ton of great dupes in it. Next up is a cream stick highlight. It is one of my favorites. I love this one. It is high-end. It is by Tarte, the Twinkle Stick in the shade Skylight. Beautiful, beautiful shade, especially when I have no self-tanner on. This looks incredible on the skin, and it even acts as a nice base if you want to put a powder highlight on top and just add a little bit more like oomph to your highlight, you know? Just sometimes you have one of those days where you just need to blind everyone. But if you don't have the budget for this one, a great alternative is the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek, and this is in the shade Stole the Show. This one also has a bit of a creamy consistency if you've ever tried these Colourpop products, whether they're the shadows or the blushes or whatever, but they dry down to more of a powder finish. But I found the color was very, very similar. So you can see that there. Ta-da! They're both very bright and white. I think that the Colourpop one has a little bit more of a golden undertone, like slight to me, but they're both really beautiful and I think very similar and comparable, and the Colourpop one comes at a much lower price point. Next up is the combination that I'm wearing on my skin right now. So one side is high-end and one side is drugstore, and the high-end one I'm wearing right now is the Becca Highlight in Champagne Pop. I love this. It was a ride or die for me for many, many years. I think this is an incredible highlight. If you have ever gotten a chance to swatch this in Sephora's, it is beautiful, but I found one that is pretty comparable in terms of tone and texture and how it looks on the skin, and that is the one by Maybelline. It is their Master Chrome Metallic Highlighter. This is the only one they have. It's in Molten Gold. This is the Becca side and this is the Maybelline side. You can see that blended out, they look very, very similar on the skin, so I will swatch them just so you guys can see up close. But this is the Becca one here. Like, I cannot say enough good things about this particular highlight. Like, Jacqueline crushed it on this. It's amazing. And then this is the Maybelline one. It's a little bit more gold, a little bit darker. It's not an exact dupe, but I wanted to mention it because it is similar enough on the skin that I can wear both of them and you can't really tell a difference. And it is a much more drugstore price point. So if you're interested in that, that is an option. Next, I want to share with you guys a dupe for a highlight that is in a high-end contour palette. So if you aren't overly interested in contour, or if you have other products but you really, really, really like this highlight, then maybe this dupe will help you. The palette is by Urban Decay. This is their Naked Skin Shapeshifter palette. Again, this is a contour palette. It has powder as well as cream, contour, and highlight shades in here. And this one in particular is one that I found a good dupe for. And a shade that I found was very comparable to that one is by Colourpop. It is this shade right here, which is called Here Kitty Kitty. It has that same light, bright beige undertone, very, very similar on the skin, has that same creaminess. I find that the formula is very similar, the payoff is very similar, and everything. But obviously, if you like contour and you want the whole kit, it's a great one. I don't really use the cream too much, but if you really like contour, you probably enjoy this. But if you're just looking for a dupe for that one particular highlight, then I think that you will find your match in Colourpop. And the last one I want to share with you guys, the formula is not similar, but the shade is very similar. So I want to share with you guys anyway. The high-end one is the RMS Beauty Magic Luminizer. This is, it's just incredible. I've talked about it before. It just makes you look like you're glowing, like from the inside. It's crazy, but it is expensive. You get this tiny little pot of it. Now granted, a little bit goes a long way. If you could afford it, go for it. It is beautiful. You will not regret it. But I did find something that is very similar in tone. It's by ELF. This is their Baked Highlight in Moonlight Pearls. The one thing I will say about this though, you really need to scrape off like the entire top layer of this highlight, otherwise it's completely unusable. But once you get underneath that, the shade is really pretty and very similar to the RMS one, so you can see that there. Obviously one is powder, one is cream. You're gonna get a little bit of a different effect on the skin, but these shades are very, very similar. If you want something that's beigey, very neutral, very light and bright, these are very comparable. And if you've always been interested in the RMS one, but want something that's a little bit more affordable, not even a little bit, like a lot more affordable, then I think that ELF would definitely be a good match for you. And that's everything for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like these whole drugstore dupe type videos. If you want to see more of these, leave me a comment down below and let me know what categories you want me to test out next, or different specific dupes that you've heard about that you want me to test out and see if they actually are gonna work. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that's everything. I hope you guys are having an amazing, amazing week so far, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Love you girls. Mwah.